Raiden or Kokomi? Who should you choose? After 4 patches of their official release, both Raiden and Kokomi are getting the same pair rerun banners back to back, which is a pattern we've been seeing from all of the Archon's rerun, but Kokomi having her rerun back this early is, I must say, a treat for many of us who have missed out from her last time. And so in today's video, I'll be looking to some of the most important things on both of the character, have an in-depth review, and share with you who is the best character you should be going for with your account. Now before we hop on into the video, I just want to let you know that I will be doing a character giveaway once the channel hits 10,000 subs, giving away some of the newest character like Miko or Ayato. So if you're not a part of our community yet, be sure to subscribe and join the Discord server to have a chance to win either Miko or maybe Ayato. It's going to be your choice. And with that, let's just jump into the video. Now first we'll dive deep into the pros and cons of both characters because it's most important for you to have a grasp of in-depth knowledge of the character to decide. First is going to be our Raiden Shogun. Now if you've already watched my last video where I talk about Raiden and Miko, the point made in this section of the pros and cons is going to be similar, so you can skip ahead. However, for those who are new, do stay because I'll be doing my best to provide you some of the most valuable information. So as we've known, Raiden Shogun is our Electro Archon whose role is technically a sub DPS, but then she turns out to feel more of a DPS because of her burst requiring her to be on field for at least 7 seconds in order to yield the maximum damage, along with 100% uptime E skill that help her apply very consistent Electro status, making reaction teams or superconduct very easy when running her. Aside from DPS capability, she also has access to very good support skill regarding burst damage bonus, which is basically the only character in the game till now that helps you with that, and energy recharge for the whole team, making her one of the most preferable character to use when building any team, especially the Abyss. And so with that being said, here are some of the most important Raiden Shogun's pros and cons. First is Raiden's pros, in that she's literally one of the top tier Electro character in the game because of how good of a damage her burst is going to be able to deal. Not only that, her burst damage has access to AoE damage as well, which is one of the most important things for a DPS character. She's also one of the best Electro status applier because of her 100% uptime E skill, helping your team not only with off-field damage. She's also one of the best Electro status applier due to her 100% uptime E skills, and moreover than that, it helps your team with very consistent off-field damage over time. Now Raiden Shogun is very free to play friendly, the major factor being she has access to the catch, which is a free to play weapon that is disguised as a 5-star because it has amazing secondary stats of energy recharge, which Raiden's needs, with very good passive, and not only that, you get it up to R5. Furthermore, she's already very good at C0, you don't need to invest into any of her constellation to be good, and her best in slot artifact is the Emblem Fate, which is one of the most efficient sets or domain that you can farm in the game, as it goes with the Shiminawa set, and 2 of these sets are very widely used by many characters in the game. On top of her DPS capability, she also has access to very good support, mainly being her burst damage increase for your team, as well as providing your team a huge energy recharge boost during her burst, therefore fitting in so many team comp, especially the national team or the superconduct team when running with Eula. And even though her burst energy cost is one of the highest in the game of 90 energy burst cost, but that doesn't pose too much of an energy issue for Raiden because her own kits has already support her on that. Plus, since she run with the Emblem Fate set, then she also very favors energy recharge. And then finally, I've already said that you don't really need any constellation on Raiden to do good, but if you want to, her constellation is also one of the best in the game because if you invest her up to C2, then her damage increase is already approximately 35 to 40% increase from her C0. Now onto some of Raiden Shogun's biggest cons is that she is a very burst dependent character, because most if not all of her damage will be during her burst. Therefore again, even though we are building quite a bit of energy recharge onto Raiden, you do really want to have her burst 100% uptime to make the most out of her DPS potential. On top of that, her burst infusion is quite short of only 7 seconds, and there's an up to 18 seconds cooldown, and since she is an electro character, she can't work well with melt or vaporize team comp because she can't benefit on that. Therefore, a lot of the time, her damage is more or less dependent on only electro damage itself. And finally, she requires herself to be with some of the best support characters like Bennett and Kazuha to take her damage to the next level. Next, we'll look into Kokomi, our divine priestess who can literally walk on water. I'm sold. Now, aside from that main selling factor MiHoYo have tried to put onto Kokomi and her beautiful attack and burst animation, she's up till now one of the characters that has gotten the least sales in Genshin Impact. And oh my god, look at Raiden having 5 times the number of sales. So the two reruns characters are on 2 spectrums of the scale right here. Thank you Genshin Lab for providing us this information. Now, having least sales revenue here means that Kokomi is, if not one of the least owned character in Genshin Impact right now. However, she's currently one of the top used character in some of the passive bits, even slightly higher than Raiden Shogun herself, because many of us did not know how good and valuable Kokomi can be until after we've started using her. Which leads us to many of Kokomi's pros right here. First of all, she is a Hydro Catalyst healer, and that's the reason why I intentionally emphasize on the fact that she is a Hydro Catalyst healer. Now, how Kokomi works is that she can either be a sub DPS or a healer support, in which case a healer support is mostly more popular, because her normal attack, though beautiful, has rather low multipliers. What makes her shine and make many players realize how good she is later on is due to her jellyfish. When using her skills, she will leave a jellyfish unfilled for 12 seconds, dealing hydro damage every 2 seconds, while healing the active character on the field. This has rather wide AoE, therefore it's very easy to hit the target, plus the fact that it stays on field for 12 seconds means that Kokomi is able to apply hydro very consistently, even so when she is not on the field, sparing space for other characters to do reaction damage like vaporize, electrocharge, and most importantly, perma-freeze. This is sometimes compared to Mona's E skills, where it is also in similar fashion, but generally Kokomi's skill is considered to be better because of far longer uptime and healing capabilities. However, that's not all. Her passive talents allow her skills to be refreshed when she uses her burst. Therefore, if you manage your timing correctly, you're potentially having a 100% uptime E skill on field. Secondly, Kokomi has access to one of the best support build in Genshin Impact at this time. Because of being a Catalyst user, you can have her go with Thrilling Tales, which buff an insane amount to your character. Not only that, then she has access to her jellyfish that stays on field very long and tick very consistently. Therefore, she is also one of the few characters that benefits greatly from 4-piece tenacity, procting its passive very consistently. Either that or her other best weapon is also very free to play, of being the prototype Amber and the Hakushin ring, which can be crafted. Thirdly, speaking of free to play friendly, she's also one of the cheapest characters to build and very simple for free to play players, because first of all, she's never going to be dealing crit due to her passive talent. Therefore, crit ratio is not considered when trying to build her. Generally only be using HP artifact across if you're focusing on healing only, and if you're looking to have her deal a bit of damage, then HP Sands, Hydro Goblet, and healing bonus circlet is the way to go. Fourthly, as I've mentioned before, she can be a rather good sub DPS because of her kits also support her so. Her burst and her passive talent too will help her damage increase based on her max HP and healing bonus. If you don't want to run tenacity on burst support Kokomi, then her own set Ocean Clam works really well. You don't need crit ratio once again again, so it's very easy to farm. Fifth is that she does not need any constellation. Unless you want her to deal more damage as a sub DPS, then her constellations generally do not support your team any more than she is currently doing at C0. Therefore, you don't need to invest into any of her constellations, saving you a lot of primo gems. And sixth, she is very comfortable to use. We already know that she's a good healer, but due to the fact that she has access to such many support capability, just put you on a very confident feeling when you're going into the battle. Plus, her healing ability will ensure you that you're practically always at full HP, because her jellyfish is present very long, plus she heals the whole team once you're in her burst. Along that, and the very consistent hydro application just helps your other team characters tremendously. And so those are some of Kokomi's main pros. Now moving on to her cons, is that one of her biggest issue is that she can't relocate her jellyfish. Unlike character like Fisher, where she can call her Oz to her side wherever she is at, once Kokomi put down her E skills, it stays there until the duration ends. So if your enemies actually move away from its AoE, you will technically lose out all of the party buff that you're getting from tenacity and hydro application. That also means that you can't make use of her burst to refresh her E skill duration, and then you have to wait for her E skill to end in order for you to relocate, leaving Kokomi on an 8-second skill cooldown, which is quite long. Secondly, she isn't going to be the best option for sub DPS because you've already got a ton of other sub DPS options, with hydro character being Child for example, or even Raiden Shogun will be the better candidate for the sub DPS position. And thirdly is that her signature weapon is just really bad, one of the worst signature weapon in the game, because the only character that it fits right now is Kokomi, and she already have so many other good free-to-play options that it's just not worth it for you to even consider having this weapon. And so those are some of the in-depth info on the two characters. However, we now move on into the part just as important when it comes to character considerations, which is in which team does two of these characters currently works in, because you're never going to be running them solo unless you want to, of course, but realistically you won't be doing. So considering what type of team in which you can make use of this character will depend on the current state of your account, but I will list out some of the good and better teams consideration for you to have a look. For Raiden Shogun, due to the way her kit works, she can fit in many different teams, as she can help with energy regen as well as burst damage increase, plus very consistent electro applications. She's most notably well known in the national team, or the Raiden national team. Consists of Raiden, Xiangling, Benny and Xingqiu. At this point in time, this team can clear any abyss floor, and it's hands down one of the most free to play options you can have, because Raiden do not need any constellation and she's already have a good free to play option with the catch, and then the rest I'm sure you've already got all of the 4-star options on the team. Either that or Electro Conduct team that runs with Eula loves to have Raiden on, as you're always going to be able to proc Super Conduct, plus high burst damage character costs like Eula will benefit really well with Raiden Shogun's kit. She also can work well with Electro team, as Electro characters generally have high burst energy costs, plus Electro Resonant helps with a lot of particle regens. So that's just some of the basic options that Raiden works really well. Raiden is a character that is very free to play friendly, because she can realistically be in any Electro position that's needed in your team, and then turns herself into a 7-second DPS, helping your team deals a lot of damage. Now for Kokomi, as we know, her position is usually a healer support with a bit of burst DPS whenever you want her to be. Either way, the way you play her is relatively the same, with burst DPS which just requires you to be on field a little bit more. Kokomi, on top of providing your character healing hydro application, attack buff from Thrilling Tales and tenacity, will even help you to do very decent and consistent off-field damage, which is also another reason why she's valuable on different teams. Right now she's currently working amazingly well in a number of teams, but the biggest ones are these threes. Number one is going to be the Perma Freeze team that features characters like Ayaka or Ganyu, along with Shanhe, who buff insane crowd damage, Kazuha, and then Kokomi herself. In the past, you would usually have Mona here to buff the team. However, with the addition of Shanhe, she's taken the cryo team to the next level. Therefore, if you want to have Shanhe on the team, you will be lacking a healer, which is where Kokomi feels absolutely well into that slot, explaining one of the reasons why her usage has risen in the Abyss. Next is the SuperaTom team, where you have Xiangling, Sucrose, Fisher, and Kokomi. It's very free to play gameplay friendly aside from Kokomi, they are all 4-star characters. However, this team is currently one of the most complicated teams to run, so if you're up for a challenge and love teams that do a ton of reactions, then it's definitely something you want to try out and go with. And the third is the AFK team, which is a team that you basically just let your off-field damage do the work for you. And it can feature a character like Kokomi, Albedo, Fischl, and Zhongli, or with the new addition of Yai Miko, you can have Yai in place of Fischl. The team is great if you don't have a crowd control option because its AoE is wide enough to help you take out many enemies around you without needing to group them too much. And so Kokomi is an absolutely amazing support character, but if you've looked into her best team option, you usually find herself in more expensive team comp to best utilize her kit. Now that's not to say that she only works with 5-star character, but it is something for you to consider. And so with that, we move on to the best part of the video, which is which character should you choose. And here's going to be something I give based purely on my opinion, and so it's going to be your choice to follow or not, but I will do my best to help you make the best choice. Now, if you're lacking in a good DPS character in your team right now, then Raiden is absolutely a must go for. First of all, because she's already on her rerun, so she won't be back in a long time, but moreover, she's a very good character that not only have insane DPS capability at C0, her support to the team is something that almost no character have at this point in terms of energy regen and burst damage increase. Therefore, she's just very valuable character that you must get in the team. As for Kokomi, realistically speaking, I actually find myself using her in every Abyss run, whereas Raiden Shogun I can slot in other character because of my account specifically having a lot of good DPS. Therefore, it just goes to show how good of a life support Kokomi can be for your team, especially if you've already got good cryo character to run in a perma-free team, for example. So if you've already found yourself to have some decent DPS, then you can consider Kokomi, as she will help your team a lot with healing, buffing, and hydro application. Now, I also know that there are some consideration regarding Raiden Shogun's constellation as well, as I know that quite a number of us has already gotten Raiden Shogun at C0. And so in terms of Raiden Shogun's constellation, her C2 is literally the best in the game right now, making her to deal insane numbers. Therefore, you can definitely go for that if you really enjoy using her. However, if you haven't got Kokomi on the team, then I do recommend you to get Kokomi over Raiden Shogun, because usually a new character is just better than getting constellation, especially in Kokomi's case, where she's able to help tremendously while in the Abyss for your team. Plus, C0 to C2 may cost you a lot more Primo Gems, as it is an equivalent to 2 new characters. So unless you win all the 50-50s, it will cost you quite a lot. So guys, both Kokomi and Raiden Shogun are just really good character at this point. If you're able to get both characters, I really do recommend you to try and go for both. But for those of you who can't, I hope that the video have been able to help you come to a decision. If you enjoyed the video guys, do leave a thumbs up to support the video as it helps boost in the algorithm. Plus don't forget guys that we're doing a character giveaway once the channel hits 10,000 subs, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. With that, I wish you a super day and I will catch you on the next video.